most vulnerable from the disease. And joining us now is Dr. Garrett Barton. He is a physician and a conservative running for Congress in South Carolina's 7th Congressional District. Dr. Barton, great to have you with us.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure.
All right, so outside of the world of Silicon Valley-based social media, is there anything really controversial about what Dr. Malone said?
So for me personally, having Dr. Malone, I think it's kind of a privilege to have somebody who is so highly involved in creating the vaccine. That kind of gets brushed over, I feel like, by the mainstream media because it doesn't want to go with the narrative. But I believe hearing him and his opinions do matter. Having someone like Fauci, who's been a lifelong bureaucrat, I think there would be benefit to hearing all sides of the story instead of just trying to choke off other opinions that don't fit the narrative.
And that's you raise such an important point here, and I think this is often lost in this conversation because it's more about who's right and who's wrong and what the best strategy is. But when doctors are actually serious and sitting around a table talking about a discussion, there is a sharing of ideas, not just one idea. Sometimes, of course, the diagnosis and the prognosis and the treatment plan is proven and well proven, but that's not the case here. But we only get one kind of narrative, and it's vaccines all the time for everyone, no matter what the side effects might say or what the other science might say here. How concerned are you about this as a doctor, that these voices are being quieted?
Well, it is concerning because that's not the way we were trained and practiced. We understand science is a process, and how these things work is we spend years upon years looking at the data, studying it to make sure that we get the best results and the best data collected so we can make a good choice for the population. Instead of pushing out something quickly, it can have its risks. And so it's quite amazing, honestly, what President Trump was able to do with warp speed and get a vaccine option to the public to help protect. But to go as far as to mandate still an experimental vaccine, I don't agree with that one bit. To say that because there's an issue going on in our country that all of a sudden we throw out individual rights to say what I want for myself.
Let's also talk about a recent op-ed that you wrote, and you say that Omicron is not a reason to return to these government mandates and restrictions and shutdowns. We talked about specifically what's happening with schools. We have your op-ed up here on the screen, but elaborate on this a little bit for us as a medical doctor.
Yeah, so like any virus or any bacteria, there's strains, and what that means is it's just another flavor of the same thing. Well, with the Omicron, of course, the Biden administration had jumped the gun and blocked travel to an African country. But what we're learning about the Omicron variant is it actually is not as far as the death rates are significantly lower as far as following the studies out of Africa. Roughly, there was one that showed that it moved through quickly, and there was roughly only a 2.67 or something like that % chance of death compared to the Delta, which was near upper 30s, or excuse me, upper 20s, almost to 30. So there's a significant reduction in the amount of people that are having severe illness with this disease. There's also been studies that showed part of the reason is it's not getting into the lung tissue like the Delta variant was. And so we're not seeing as much of the severity take place.
That's an important
because
thing
of that,
too.
we need to.
Yeah, we've heard that from several doctors, where the virus is, if it's deep in the lungs versus up in the nasal pharynx area, that's a completely different situation. Of course, you would know more about that than I do, Doctor. I don't mean to cut you off because you know more about this, but we are out of time, unfortunately, just about. And I wanted to wrap it up there for our interview, but I look forward to talking to you more. The 7th District, where specifically is that?
So I am running for the District 7 South Carolina seat currently held by Tom Rice, and he was one of the 10 that voted to impeach. So we are a America First candidate. We are going to put America first, and it's a big district that contains Myrtle Beach all the way to rural, where I live in Cheraw, South Carolina, and I plan to be a representative of all the people of South Carolina.
All right, we look forward to talking to you again in the future. We appreciate your time, Dr. Barton. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Check us out at Barton.
No, we missed him there. I'm sure you can Google his address and find him on Twitter and social media. They always love to get in their websites for their campaign.